Welcome back to the Rehab Haven channel. Today's explainer hits right at home for so many of us. We're unpacking the reality of stroke in Ghana. Our whole mission here at Rehab Haven is about understanding, recovering, and really empowering our community. So today, we're diving headfirst into understanding the stroke epidemic so we can actually combat it together.
So here's our roadmap for this explainer. First, the African stroke epidemic. Second, Ghana's unique reality. Third, culture, beliefs, and time. And finally, number 4, prevention and action steps.
Let's just start right off with this quote. Africa is experiencing a stroke epidemic that its health systems were never designed to manage. The window for prevention is now. Wow. That just perfectly sets the urgency of what we're talking about today. It really validates this heavy reality we see all the time. The sheer volume of stroke we're dealing with is a massive systemic issue. It's a structural failure, absolutely not a personal one. And that window for prevention, it's right now.
Part 1. The African Stroke Epidemic.
316. I want that number to stick in your head. Sub-Saharan Africa has the highest stroke incidence rate on the planet at 316 per 100,000 people every single year. And honestly, it gets tougher. We also have the highest 30-day case fatality rate in the world, hovering right around 30 to 40% in hospitals. This isn't just a Western disease that found its way here. It's our own rapidly growing epidemic, driven by urbanization and even psychosocial stress happening right in our backyard.
Which brings us to Part 2. Ghana's unique reality. When you compare Ghana to high-income countries, the gap is just staggering. Stroke here is hitting people between the ages of 45 and 55. Think about that. That's literally 15 to 20 years younger than what you see in higher-income nations. We're talking about people in the absolute prime of their lives. Plus, if you look at the in-hospital fatality rate, we're at 25 to 40% compared to maybe 5 to 10% elsewhere. Basically, having a stroke here carries a 4 to 8 times higher mortality rate once someone actually reaches the hospital. And a massive piece of that puzzle is the actual type of stroke we're seeing. Anywhere from 20 to 35% of all strokes in Ghana are hemorrhagic. That means they're caused by active bleeding in the brain. Globally, that average is only about 15%, so our rate is essentially double. And because brain bleeds carry such higher acute risks, it's a huge reason why our mortality rates are so severely elevated. But why is that bleeding rate so high? Well, it's not some random biological bad luck. It's directly tied to massive, uncontrolled hypertension across our population. High blood pressure is the primary recorded risk factor in over 80% of Ghanaian stroke cases. Basically, that uncontrolled pressure literally forces microvascular damage, which then leads to these devastating bleeds.
All right, Section 3. Culture, beliefs, and time.
There's this saying in medicine, time is brain. And it's so true. Every single minute counts. But here is where we see a tragic disconnect. The ideal window for those life-saving, clot-dissolving treatments, which we call thrombolysis, is under 4.5 hours from when the stroke starts. But get this, the median hospital arrival time for stroke patients in Ghana is over 12 hours. Sometimes it's up to 48 hours. We are completely missing that critical golden hour where emergency medicine can actually save the most brain tissue.
So why the massive delay? Look, we completely get it. When something as sudden and terrifying as a stroke happens, someone suddenly can't speak or they can't move their arm, it's very often seen as a spiritual attack or a curse within our traditional frameworks. Families naturally want to seek prayer, pastoral counseling, or herbal remedies first. But doing that before going to the hospital tragically eats up the exact window where medical care can literally save brain function. The medicine works, but it can't work if the patient isn't there. And we really have to look at these cultural factors without any judgment. It's totally understandable why people attribute sudden weakness to something spiritual, or why they might turn to traditional medicine first. There's also this really heavy stigma around visible disabilities, like not being able to speak or walk, which sadly causes some families to hide the illness rather than rush to get help. And since healthcare decisions here are almost always made by the whole family rather than the individual, the family unit really holds the key. They are the absolute front line for making those fast, life-saving emergency decisions.
Okay, moving to Part 4, prevention and action steps.
We really have to take this into our own hands, guys, because our healthcare system still has some pretty big gaps. Just to put it in perspective, in high-income countries, 10 to 30% of patients get access to clot-busting drugs. Here in Ghana, it's less than 1%.
We just don't have enough CT scanners everywhere to quickly figure out the stroke type, and neurologists are in very short supply. We absolutely cannot just wait and rely on hospitals to fix everything after the stroke has happened. On top of that, true dedicated stroke units exist in fewer than 5% of our hospitals, and rehab can be super hard to access. So what does that mean for us? It means prevention is quite literally the highest return investment we can make for our health. Community-level prevention and lightning-fast responses are, without a doubt, our most powerful tools.
So here is your toolkit. It's super simple, it works, and it's called the FAST method. Face is one side of the face drooping. Arm is there weakness, or can they not hold both arms up? Speech, are their words slurred or weirdly hard to understand? Time, if you see literally any of these, the only acceptable action is time. Call for emergency help or get them to a hospital immediately. Don't wait to see if they feel better. Don't call a prayer warrior first. Go straight to a hospital with a CT scanner. We've got to shift this fight into our communities. So here's your game plan for today. Number 1, teach that FAST method to everyone in your house this week. Number 2, check your blood pressure. Since uncontrolled hypertension is driving those deadly brain bleeds, if you haven't checked your BP lately, please go do it this week. Number 3, we have to start engaging our faith and traditional leaders as our health allies. They can help spread the word that prayer and hospitals work best together. And finally, if you're in the healthcare field, keep pushing and advocating for better stroke care pathways locally.
As we wrap up this explainer, I want to leave you with a question to really chew on. As an important part of our Rehab Haven family, what is the single biggest action you can take today to protect your loved ones and rewrite Ghana's stroke story? Think about it, talk about it at dinner tonight. Let's get to work. Thanks so much for joining me today.